tell us, what was the situation that led you to bring in leadership development for you and your team?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, first of all, I'm a big believer in leadership development. I
Mm-hmm.
always think that's great. I had the luxury and I guess privilege of having a lot of leadership training when I worked at AIM Investments slash Invesco.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I was working in finance, I got a lot of training on a lot of different skill sets. And so I'm a big believer in it. When I was in executive search before Merrimac, there was pretty much no leadership training available. They didn't believe in it, felt like it was an extra cost. And I always, so I did training on my own, right? Reading and things like that. But it's not quite the same as
Sure.
with your team. And I knew Jason from Rmada for before that. And we had immediately clicked in our thoughts on leadership and training and development. And we'd always talked a lot about just leadership in general. And as executive search consultants, we're constantly working with executives,
Mhm.
top levels, and talking about their leadership styles, what leadership means to them, a lot of thought leadership, succession planning, training and development. How do you get the best out of people? And so that's a very common thing for us to talk about in general.
Mhm.
Um, my team didn't have that luxury of training, and they were now the basis for growing the company, and we're going
Mhm.
leaders in the company. So when we formed in 2020, Jason and Pat were also forming
Yeah.
Rmada, and we talked about it. And I said, "Why don't you guys do an offsite for us if you're up for it?" They were new, we were new, and I really wanted my team to experience that and get set a foundation of strong leadership. So we set that up as a long week, like 3-day training offsite. They came in, went through the basics with us, learned a lot. Um, some of it were things that I was familiar with, but my team was not. Some of it were things that were new to all of us. But one of the things that I'm a really big believer in is the DISC assessment. So it's
Yes.
the personality assessment, I guess, or psychometric
Mhm.
is what we would call it. And it gives you your communication style as a big part of that and how you deal with things. I've used it for years, so I was
Mhm.
excited about it. I wanted my team to feel it, and we still use it today.
Okay.
So as a result of that training, my team got a good foundation in general leadership, understanding yourself and others,
Fantastic.
how important it is to know what's going on with yourself and your own strengths and weaknesses in order to understand what other people's strengths and weaknesses are and where you can help them along. And also how to fill in around that, right?
Mhm.
So they had a great basis. We loved that. We still use that training today. We each have our binder and we'll go through it when we have struggles. I mean, it's really great training. And then we use the DISC assessment anytime someone new comes into the organization. And then we have a team building on the back of that so that everybody on the team knows their own personality and communication style as well as that of everyone else. And they have tools to navigate crisis or miscommunication going forward.
Mhm.
And it's been really good. We've used it ever since then, and it's fantastic. Then a few years ago, Jason and Pat told me about their cohort training,
Mhm.
and I thought it would be amazing. I think it's ideal for leaders who are new leaders who are moving. There's a fundamental shift that you go to from employee to boss
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
manager, right? Not just
Yeah.
manager, leader is what you really.
Mhm.
Um, and I knew their basic concepts, so I think they took what they did for us in the 3-day offsite and expanded it over 6 to 9 months. I can't remember the exact time frame, and put in some intense 3-day one-on-one training or team training with the cohort, and
Sure.
then one-on-one coaching every month, as well as some team training remote one-on-one, or
Hmm.
I mean, as a team. It's team training, remote, as a cohort every month.
Sure.
And so they asked, if we were interested. Well, I was like, yeah, I definitely want my team involved in this. So
Hmm.
Lauren was our first person to go through the cohort, and
Okay.
she loved it, raved about it, thought this is fantastic. And the beautiful thing about the cohort is you've got lots of different types of companies there and lots of different leaders in different places in their career.
Mhm.
You have some first time leaders and you have some experienced leaders, and they're all in a different place. So you're in a room with this diverse set of leaders that you can hear about their experiences, how they deal with things, and you get some really interesting um, points of view that are shared,
Absolutely. Yeah.
along with the actual training, which is phenomenal.
Mhm.
So that, I think the concept is fantastic. So Lauren was about halfway through when they started their second one, and I was like, I want to do it. So I've gone through it as well, loved it. And it was, so that's an interesting one, right? Because Lauren is a leader, but she's led fewer people than I have. So she went in through it as sort of a mid career leader
Sure.
and loved it. I went as a little bit more experienced leader, loved it. And now we've since put a couple of our other team through that, including Amber, who is a brand new leader.
Hmm.
And she's probably gotten the most out of it.
Wow.
But all of us came back with something a little different. We could talk
Hmm.
about it because we've all been through it. Um,
Hmm.
and we can reinforce it with each other as well. And it's really made a difference in our team. We refer to it a lot, especially when we feel like maybe we're having a problem, whether that's with a client or with an employee, if we are dealing with a crisis, if we kind of always go back to this basis. But we also each have our own cohort of people that we can draw on for
Hmm.
advice, experience. That's been amazing as well. I'm
Sure.
so good with all of those people. So it's been an amazing um, journey with them.
Was there anything that Armada themselves brought to the table in terms of their leadership skills and their leadership development style that you really cared for, and that's why you wanted to implement it into your company?
Yeah, I think that that's a really good question. So I'd known Jason for a while, and when
Hmm.
Jason and I first met, we were. It was like we were kindred spirits in regards to leadership style
Yeah.
and servant leadership.
Sure.
And I know from my own experiences that the military leadership is very misunderstood in the United States culture.
Hmm.
It's really all they see is what's on television. What I know is that they are incredible leaders, always putting their employees first, making sure that communication is clear. Everybody knows what they have to do, and they're trained to do that. And so it's very efficient, and everybody feels cared for.
Hmm.
And I think American industry doesn't really understand that. So Jason and I had always bonded over that, and our styles were similar.
Sure.
So when I knew they were forming Armada, I was an immediate uh, supporter because I knew what they were going to bring to industry was going to be valuable.
Hmm.
So I think for me, sure, I know lots of coaches, I know lots of
Yeah.
these programs. It's part of what we do. But for me, it was bringing that different perspective to the table that we've lost in America.
Hmm.
Mm. That was the reason I wanted to go that direction. It resonated with me. Um, I say this all the time. I don't know if you would use this or not, but
Yeah.
when my parents were in industry, almost everyone in America had served one way or another in the military because there was the draft in place, there was World War
Sure.
II, Korea, Vietnam. And so it was a pretty high percentage of people who knew what a military leader brought to the table in a company. And most leaders in companies had some form of military training.
Sure.
But after the 70s, that sort of went away.
Hmm.
And Jason and Pat are actually at the time they joined, one of 3% of our population who put their life on the line for our freedom
Absolutely.
and had that experience of a military career.
Mm-hmm.
And most of our leaders today do not have that and don't understand it and didn't have that benefit. And I think so. Maybe what I'm saying is controversial, but to me, that was a reason I wanted them to be doing what they're doing, and why I'm a supporter of Rmada is they bring a different point of view to the table, one that is actually quite caring and beneficial and brings about better results in a way where people who are your number one resource are feeling cared for and respected and wanted. Yeah. So
That's a
to me,
great answer.
I believe in what they're doing.
Yeah. It's a
I don't,
fantastic answer. It's very true.
I'm not sure if that answers the question.
It no, that was a perfect answer. It's very good.